Welcome to Photo Op, the episode number that I can't remember right now. Eventually we'll have a 100 shout out. We're getting close to that.
We are getting close.
But welcome to the show. My name is Stuart Marlantis.
And I'm Ben Lucas.
And this is Photo Op. So first off today, we have a listener question as usual.
Yes. So today's listener question, actually not so much listener question directly to us, but comes from a forum poll. Mm-hmm. But the question in particular was in response to one of my comments. So I feel like it counts.
Yeah.
So the poll was, what camera bodies are you working with? The results of the poll were 55 people said that they're using DSLR. 51 people said that they're using mirrorless. So we've got a pretty even split there. 2 people said Blackmagic.
Which is mirrorless, I think.
Yeah, I feel like that's his own category, though.
Sure.
Of just like I'm not shooting a mirrorless camera. I'm shooting a Blackmagic camera.
I'm too good for mirrorless.
Actually, those are people who only shoot video and have never tried to shoot photo, because Blackmagic is built for like you shoot it like on a rig.
I only take stills out of my Blackmagic, actually.
No one in this group was rich enough to be a Leica hipster, so we don't have any of those, cool. As far as I know. And 2 people said iPhone.
All right.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they're always there.
That is true. That is true. Funny story. I don't know if I've told this one yet. My camera battery died as I was going to the Taj Mahal. So I took most of my Taj Mahal photos on my cell phone. It did make me cry, like a lot. Actual tears were shed. Anyway, but the question that actually comes out of this was, does upgrading make a substantial difference? And the one that felt triggering to me, did you get more clients after you switched? So that brings us to, no, this is, all right, you ready for it? This is so stupid. Absolutely not. Upgrading your gear does not get you more clients, asterisk mark. Like, unless you are actively turning away clients because you do not have X capability and buying a piece of gear gives you that capability, you're not getting more clients. This is such a, like, I understand that this person was just like, hey, I want to upgrade. What should I upgrade to? Should I get, and we've talked before about DSLR is dying, but oh, this is so triggering because no piece of gear is going to get you more clients. That is just...
Unless people come to you every day and ask for you to shoot on a Phantom Flex for them, then maybe you should buy the Phantom Flex.
Yeah, or rent it per project.
Or rent it.
Like,
but
it's so dumb.
But otherwise, no.
It's so dumb. So that is a dumb question. Thank you for asking. Which brings us to today's episode, Unpopular Opinions.
Oh boy, we've got, this is the Photo Opinion podcast. And
that is why it's called Photo Opinion.
I think generally our opinions are the correct ones, but maybe these will be the incorrect ones. You be the judge.
Let's go with unpopular. Tell us which of our unpopular... We're going to start off with this, the quick promo before we get into this. Go to my YouTube channel, because that's where we read most of the comments. That is youtube.com/nomcreative. Go to this episode, Unpopular Opinions, and leave a comment with either your unpopular opinion or what you think about our opinions. Let us know. We'll follow up.
Well, our opinions are going to be gold, because now that YouTube removed dislikes, we can only get likes on this video. So our opinions are definitely popular.
How'd I miss that?
Well, you can still dislike, but it doesn't have the number anymore. Only the person who posted the video can see it. So to the public, we will only have likes on this video.
Yes.
Popular opinions.
Yes. I love it.
So feel free to dislike to your heart's content. Nobody else will see it.
Yeah. Suck it.
Thanks, YouTube.
Let's get into some unpopular opinions.
Oh, we have so many that we wrote down a list.
We have so many. I'll start.
Sure.
If you are in public and your lens hood is on your camera backwards, I automatically think less of you.
I mean, that's fair.
Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Your lens hood comes on your lens backwards. for storage and transportation.
Especially when it's like blocking the focus ring. Like some lenses, it's actually blocking mechanically how to use the lens. Oh boy.
Like wide angle lenses and mid focal lenses that generally have really short rings, so you can get away with it. But when you're rocking like a 7200 or something, this has a huge lens hood, and it is definitely impeding your phone. Yeah, I think less of you if you have your lens hood on backwards.
I agree.
It's dumb.
My first opinion, which seems to be increasingly popular, but I'm starting out light, is 99% of Instagram is garbage.
I mean, I feel like I cull my Instagram pretty aggressively.
I do too, but I still think it's garbage.
It's funny because people will be like, hey, why aren't you following me on Instagram? This isn't Facebook. On Facebook, I can add you as a friend. On Instagram, either I follow you or I don't follow you. If I don't want to see your stuff, I'm not going to follow you.
Yeah, tangentially related to that. Tangentially, I can't speak today. Is that Instagram doesn't matter, or social media in general doesn't matter. Like I see accounts that are super popular, quote unquote, photographers on Instagram that are absolutely talentless hacks. And I'm not.
I mean, that's true.
And if those people have millions and you're shooting probably much higher quality stuff than them, and you can't even break 100, what does that say about the platform? It says it's not very valuable. It's not a meritocracy. Social media is unfortunately not a meritocracy.
That is accurate. Yeah. I will say that's not even unpopular.
That's not unpopular.
That's like becoming homecoming king at your high school.
I think the unpopular opinion is people want to believe that, just grind it out and you'll eventually become popular.
You will not.
No, not.
I have been grinding for 10 years. There's no amount of grinding that will make you popular.
Nope. Because it's not a meritocracy.
I'll pile onto that. Doing well on social media does not mean you're good.
No. Definitely not.
A lot of garbage that is popular.
Welcome to the influencer market. A lot of garbage that is popular.
Yeah. Especially if any part of the exposed female form is in the photo. That makes it more popular.
Oh boy. They will exploit that as much as they possibly can.
Jesus.
Along those lines, Hollywood style editing of teal shadows and orange highlights is garbage, as is any other editing trend, including lifted shadows and ultra grain filters and pretty much anything else like that.
Oh God.
Trends are garbage.
I'll add one. I don't think this is a trend as much as your novice is showing. People who shoot log and don't color correct. I used to work at a company where I lovingly called it the Netflix of hipster crap you've never heard of, because it only had stuff that is not popular. But we would get submissions from independent filmmakers to put onto our platform, and they would shoot in log, and the whole thing would just be this gray flat mud, and it looks bad.
Yeah, I don't know why that became popular. Like, you realize you're missing a step there.
Yeah, it is. You haven't finished baking it yet. That's actually, I will add on to that. Not using post processing, like saying like, I don't use Photoshop. That does not give you a moral high ground.
That only works for cookies. You can slam down a bowl of cookie dough and be like, enjoy, and people will be into it. Or you can slam down the actual baked cookies and people will be into it. It doesn't work for photography.
Unbaked cakes, not so much.
No, it doesn't work for cakes.
No, cookies are the exception here, not the rule. If you're not using Photoshop, that is a choice to sacrifice quality because you're lazy or scared. Like, that doesn't give you a moral high ground. That doesn't make you better. And I hear it all the time of like, I don't use Photoshop. I'm a documentarian and all my stuff is all natural. And oh God, there's that thing again of like.
Also, cameras don't capture real life perfectly. Even if you're trying to go for a pure example of real life, you actually need to edit it to get it back to how it actually looked in real life.
Like, the dynamic range of your camera is different. You are artificially choosing what to include or exclude from a frame. Your white balance on a sunset will change whether it is a cold, misty morning or a warm, tropical beach. the exact same location. Like
and sensors just do weird things. Like
it's all manufactured. Yeah,
like photo sensors pick up reds way more than a lot of other colors. So oftentimes you'll see people like with red shirts where it looks like way oversaturated, and you need to bring that down. That's just due to how sensors work.
Yeah, I use an X-Rite color checker to calibrate my shots, and my blue is almost non-existent. So when I correct, I actually feel like the technically correct overcorrects because it just makes the blue that obnoxious like out of gamut color. So it's like, okay, well, here's how I shot it. Here's how the computer said you're technically accurate. Now I got to bring it down to the middle somewhere that looks right stylistically or artistically to me to what is real. So that kind of goes into it too. Yeah, there's no moral high ground.
Nope.
Learn how to use Photoshop.
Yeah, totally fine. A newsflash, by the way, your camera actually does a level of, even if you're shooting raw, your camera does some levels of processing before it spits that file out. So you're never shooting pure, literally untouched.
Yeah, if you're gonna do that, shoot film. But even then, you can push or pull the film as you're developing it. You can push or pull the film. You can dodge burn as you are turning that negative into a print. There's so many things. So many things. Do. Being a hipster doesn't make you superior.
No. Might make you feel superior, but it doesn't actually make you superior.
God. All right, what else you got for us?
Here's a two-parter with an asterisk, so, extra spicy. The device you're editing on doesn't matter as long as it's powerful enough and has a color-accurate screen. And, side note, for the most part, the camera you're using doesn't matter either.
Yeah. So for those of you watching on the YouTube channel and looking over Stuart's shoulder, if you were to see a wide shot of that photo, that is a panoramic that I shot on my 21 megapixel 5D Mark III, and the finished product is 485 megapixels. Just last week, I printed a photo that is that exact same size, 8 feet wide, on my 16 megapixel Lumix. And also, because Lumix is a micro four thirds, it was heavily cropped because I had to crop it to a 2:1 ratio. And so essentially it's like 12 megapixels got blown up to 8 feet wide.
Yep.
The camera does not matter.
No, camera doesn't matter. The only asterisk to that is, sure, somebody's going to point out, well, it matters sometimes if you're shooting sports and it's not fast enough, then yeah, sure. But in general, all of the websites and YouTubers and everything that you see saying you have to buy this camera, this is the only way to shoot, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, the asterisk on that is my very first camera was a Rebel XSI. I will never, ever, ever use that camera for serious work again because it shoots 3 frames per second. It only has 12 megapixels, which if I'm printing stuff this big, I don't want to start there.
Yeah.
Like that is a bad intentionality. And it turns to garbage at ISO 800.
Yeah, it doesn't matter unless it is literally a limiting factor, a real technical limiting factor.
Yeah, like Stuart has a A7 III, and I have a 5D Mark III, and like his is night vision goggles compared to mine. So it's funny because I was working with a videographer where we were in the aquarium, and we were in like this really dark pit area, and he just cranked his ISO up to like 40,000. I'm like, give me a sec, I need to get my flash, and he just started laughing at me like, ha ha ha, you need the light like a plebeian.
Well, and if you were shooting in those conditions all the time, you would probably buy a camera like that. But for the work that you're doing, you don't need it. So it doesn't matter.
We were in there for like 5 minutes and the rest of the wedding was outside. So exactly. It does not matter.
Doesn't matter. And no, you can't tell me, oh, well, Canon has better reds than Sony or whatever. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
No one cares.
Nobody cares. You should be editing it anyway.
Yeah. I'll add another unpopular opinion. Just because your camera can go up to 100,000 ISO doesn't mean you should.
But then how do you flex on people with worse cameras?
just because you have a quantity of light does not make it a quality of light. If you can get away with less light, it doesn't mean that light is good. It doesn't mean your photo is good. Just because you don't have grain in your photo doesn't mean that the light is good or flattering. Like, you still need to look at light even if your camera has night vision goggles. Like, that's dumb.
I have a quick follow-up since you mentioned shooting in an aquarium. This is a little bit more niche, but shooting animals in a zoo or an aquarium, there's this for wildlife photographers, there's this weird like elitism of like, oh, you shot that in a zoo or an aquarium. Well, it's trash. Like you're not real. It doesn't count. It's one, it's totally fine. And two, in many ways, it's actually better to do that because these animals are used to people being around. They're taken care of. Asterisk, go to AZA, support AZA facilities only because those are the ones that are actually very rigorously checked to make sure that everything's good to go. But these animals are used to people. They generally can't be released to the wild for many reasons. By shooting those animals, you are reducing stress and potential harm on animals in the wild. I'm certainly somebody that likes to shoot animals in the wild. I think that's really cool when you can do it, but I have to walk a fine line of not being disruptive to the natural environment and not harming natural interactions that animal is going through at the time. Whereas with zoos, you don't have to worry about that, and that's a good thing. So one, it's still very real. You need to get there at certain times. You need to like get there in the early morning, depending on the animal. You still need to have skills. It's very real and often less of an impact. So I'm certainly thumbs up on that. A little bit more of a niche, but there is elitism in that space.
I've got another thing to piggyback off of that. So when I was in Iceland, it is illegal there to go off trail because it disrupts the ecology and the wildlife and all of that.
And there's lots of like, volcanoes and stuff you could fall into.
There's also
I don't actually know. I've never been to Iceland.
But unpopular opinion, if you are complaining about rules, you're the problem. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like there are times where I get super annoyed where like I go into a Catholic chapel and they put me in a photo pit and they're like, you're not allowed to move. I'm just like, okay, like I could complain about this. Like, this is BS. How come I can't blah, blah, blah. Of like, I'm not saying that I like it. I'm not saying that that's not a dumb rule. Like it kind of is a dumb rule. But the reason why it's a rule is because there's a bunch of dumbass photographers. Yeah, I said it. Who are being disruptive and making sure that, oh, great, we have to have these rules in place.
Also, see how the FAA has clamped down on the drone market.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Because people are idiots with their drones. Yeah, I feel like if you're complaining about safety rules, you're the problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed.
There you go. I'm gonna say that is related to photography, but extrapolate as you want to. I'm looking at you. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Any other unpopular opinions for us?
Oh, yeah, I've got several more. Along the lines of drones, most drone stuff is boring at this point. Sorry, not sorry. I really like shooting with drones. It is
we need
to take
my drone out more.
As
soon as it starts getting sunny, we need to.
Oh yeah.
Trips.
No, it's a great tool, and it truly does give you a literal perspective you can't get anywhere else. I think it's very valuable. That being said, I am no longer impressed by somebody buying the latest DJI and taking a picture of whatever random thing. Like, it's not impressive anymore. It's so easy to do now that anybody can do it. That has kind of played out. The really impressive stuff I see now is more in the video space. I think still's pretty much done, unless you can con your way into shooting something that is very difficult because there are limitations or restrictions on it, and you get a permit and you talk to the right people and all that. Great. But otherwise, the only cool stuff I see in drones now is video. And there is some cool stuff there, but it's unfortunately few and far between.
I don't know if this is going to be a popular opinion or an unpopular opinion. You guys tell me. Mm-hmm. So the old adage is that for you to get something, get a good photo, you have to go stand in front of something interesting. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of people are like, no, that's not true. You can get interesting photos in your backyard. You know what? I've tried. No, you're wrong. There is a huge difference between going to our really crappy Pebblestone Beach in Seattle, where we do not have interesting landscapes. We do not have interesting, unless just magic comes in and clouds get fantastic. Like, we don't have interesting things on the horizon. We don't have, lakes, mountains. I'm talking like Seattle proper.
We do have interesting landscapes. You have to get out of Seattle.
Yeah. What I'm saying is you can't go to like the pier next to the ferry and expect to get the photo like I got in Iceland. Like sometimes you have to go stand in front of something interesting.
Yep. Agreed. I don't find standing in front of people interesting. So that's my unpopular opinion. I have zero interest in photographing people and don't find it fun or intriguing at all, which I know is totally different from what you do.
That is literally the thing I do. Yeah. That's fine.
Well, I think it's unpopular. I think a lot of people, like, they want to do portraiture, they want to do weddings and stuff, and that's great. I'm not disparaging people that are good at that, and I'm glad there are people that are good at that and like that, because I so do not. So in my unpopular opinion, I don't want to do that.
One thing that I will say that's nice about working with products is products do exactly what you tell them to.
Exactly.
They don't sass you.
Exactly.
I used to hate shooting products mostly because I would see a photo online and I didn't know how to replicate that, and I wasn't good at doing it until I worked under someone who had been doing it since the 70s, and he taught me everything he knew, and now I'm really good at doing it. So there is something to be said for you might not like a thing because you're bad at it. This is directly coming back to Photoshop. Choosing not to get better at a thing does not make you elite or superior.
Oh yeah, and I will happily admit that I don't think I'm good at photographing people. I could probably get better at it. I actually did used to do it quite a bit. I just have zero interest. It just has no call to me. And again, not disparaging anybody that's good at it. I think that's great. It's just that is what I feel like an unpopular opinion that I have, where I see, especially when I see people inserted where I think they shouldn't be. Like, you see all these great landscapes and they put like somebody in a red coat in the foreground, really small. I'm like,
I hate those photos.
Dislike.
Those photos are bad. Those photos are bad.
Like, ooh, you put a human in it. Great job.
You know what's funny?
Congratulations.
Is I'm looking at you right now and I say, yeah, those photos are bad. And behind you, there's an 8-foot print where I'm one tiny little person in the landscape. No, just kidding. There's two people because it's a wedding photo. I told my wife, bring your wedding dress. So that's the two of us up there.
Well, and this actually has composure and thought to it. What I'm talking about is like they're always the center aligned. There's like, visual sight lines that go to the center of this one person that's like right in the lower center foreground, and they wear some contrasting color, generally red. To draw your eye to them, but they're not interesting. Side note, with putting people in the frame, I think that stuff is so lazy.
Yeah.
And so overdone. Everybody does it. Stop.
Yeah,
I'd rather just see the landscape. At that point.
We're gonna go back to look up Insta Repeat. If your photo idea is on there, don't do it. I've got another unpopular opinion.
Go for it.
Going off script here. So you were talking about everyone like shooting people, and I think that people. That photographers are attracted toward shooting people because they think it's easy money. You know that it takes skill to get this knife to look shiny and brilliant and look like it's a magazine. It takes 0 to no skill to put your camera on f1.2 and take a portrait of somebody smiling in just like flat natural light. And they're like, great, I took a good photo. No. Nope. First of all, unpopular opinion number 1, just because you put your camera at f1.2 does not make it a good photo. And
no, for those of you that have f0.95 lenses or whatever, same rule. Same rule.
And unpopular opinion number 2, people think that people get into the wedding market because they think it's easy money. They see that, well, I could shoot 10 to 15 headshots or I could do one wedding. And they're like, oh, wow, the same amount of money for so much less work. No. Shooting weddings is not less work. If you think it is easy money, you are horribly mistaken.
Oh boy.
There is so much risk and pressure and effort and time, and no. It is not easy money. If you think it's easy money, no.
Yeah, I don't shoot weddings because I can't handle the pressure.
They are not easy
answer.
money. No. So the very first wedding that I ever shot, I was in college, and it was actually the day of my graduation. I skipped my own graduation to go shoot the first wedding. And I nearly had an anxiety attack because I knew the skill that I had when I was in a studio setting, and I was not getting that same quality during the wedding day. And then the church lady said, you have like, you are done. We have to go into the reception. I'm like, no. I don't have any photos of the bride and groom yet. We were supposed to have 2 hours for formal portraits. They were like, well, hair and makeup ran late, so that's too bad for you. And I said, no, I need to get photos. Like, it can wait.
Yeah.
And she said, fine, you have 4 minutes. That was oddly specific. So for my first wedding, I had 4 minutes to get photos of the bride and groom, and I was sweating bullets. It makes a good story now, but at the time, what happened was I set my very cheap flash trigger up on a stand, and it did not fire.
Oh.
Which is why I own a whole fleet of Pocket Wizards now, because they just work. And so I set it up. I spend about 30 seconds of my 4 minutes trying to get this flash to fire. I'm like, okay, it doesn't. I have 3.5 minutes left. Great. What do I do?
Gray hair's sprouting.
If you think that is easy money, you can F off.
My last unpopular opinion is, if you're doing this to get famous, don't bother. I would like to think this is popular, but really it doesn't seem like it. I see way too many people being like, I'm on my grind so that someday I'm going to be a famous photographer. Ugh.
I want to be a successful photographer.
Yeah, exactly. You should reorient your thinking. You should be successful. You should be a fulfilled photographer. If you're chasing fame, don't bother.
I want to enjoy my work.
Yeah.
I want to keep a roof over my head and feed 100%. My family. And certainly becoming famous would help that.
Oh yeah.
But
it's not in and of itself.
Goal.
Yeah, it's not the goal.
And if that is a goal that you're chasing, it's never going to happen for you, essentially.
Yeah. Doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. I've got one last one to cap us off. A lot of photographers call it fashion if a model is wearing clothes. Any kind of clothes. That doesn't make it fashion photography. No. So Zach Arias, one of my favorite photographers, he shoots photos and people are like, oh, this is great fashion. And he immediately cuts them off and goes, no. I do not shoot fashion. I shoot stuff that if you have no idea what you're looking at, you go, wow, that's a really cool fashion photo. But he said if he were to actually put together a portfolio and show it to like a fashion art director, he would get laughed out of the room. He's like, I don't shoot fashion. Fashion is incredibly niche and incredibly specific. Just because your model is wearing clothes does not make it fashion. Not at all.
Cool. I have no knowledge of the fashion market, so I'm going to agree.
So that's why I actually say that my wedding is fashion inspired, because I, like Zach Arias, do not shoot fashion. I have tangentially kind of touched that market once or twice, and nope, I'm not good at it. So it is very specific and very niche. Stop calling your stuff fashion. On the converse of that, just because your model's wearing clothes doesn't make it fashion. Just because your model's not wearing clothes doesn't make it a good photo. Probably makes you creepy, which we're going to be talking about next week.
Please stop liking those photos. There's so many thirsty people out there that just see minimally or no clothed person and like it. Stop it. Stop exposing that work. It's so mediocre.
Stay tuned, because next week we are going to be talking about red flags.
Red flags.
Don't be a creep. Stay tuned.
See you next time.
If you have questions or ideas for future episodes, you can email us at hello@photo-op.show.
Watch us on Ben's YouTube channel at NomCreative.
As in Om Nom Nom.
Share this with a friend, and you can listen to Photo Op anywhere podcasts are sold.
Or download it. 'Cause it's free.